to the streets, right? I need you to say, we want to get to the streets. All right, I'm going to introduce the next speaker. This woman right here, boy, come on up here. When you talk about boots on the ground, when you talk about loving families and protecting them from the police, you think of Tashira Galway Ellen. Tashira's been out here long before she even knew about all of us and was trying to get justice for her husband. And I'm here to introduce Tashira, and y'all give it up for her.
I want to thank you all for being here today. And when you give it up to Shira, you're giving it up for all of the families. Because that's what it's about. This is about George Floyd, but this is about all of the people that they have slain in these streets for no just cause. All of the people that have shed blood for no true, real reason and purpose. This is for all stolen lives. That's right. All stolen lives. George Floyd is the face of hundreds in the state of Minnesota in the last 20 years. 470 murders at the hands of law enforcement, and only one officer held accountable, the minority man that killed the white woman. We know what it is. It's time to call it out for what it is. There's no time for sugarcoating. I call these police departments the Ku Klux Klan with badges on. It is what it is. They threw my son's father, Justin Tigan, in the garbage can. Beat him to death. Beat him to death. These are hate crimes that are committed against other human beings. So no matter what your uniform that you wear, when you commit the hate crime, it's still a hate crime. They sat outside my house. They followed me. When Justin was killed, there was no Black Lives Matter. There was no movement because it was swept under the rug. And that's how it's been for the rest of our families. For Hardell Sherrill, Kobe Heisler, Cordell Handy, Marcus Golden, Jafford Smith, Jamar Clark, Travis Jordan, Justin Tigan, and any other families that I forgot. Charge it to my head and not my heart, but I stand here in representation of all of our families. Of all of our families, so support our families. Stand by our families, because during this time we are hurting. We are re-traumatized. We have to look at a trial that we only wish and pray that our families could get, that our loved ones could receive that same day in trial. George Floyd hasn't even got justice yet, but to even get a trial, most of our families didn't even receive that. And we have to watch this and know that our loved ones never got that day. We have to hear George Floyd's name screamed all over the world when we know that our loved ones died in garbages. When we know that Hardell Sherrill laid on a floor for days and they wouldn't give him the adequate medical care that he needed. But one thing that we will not do during this time, our families will not be quiet. We will be as visible as possible. And we will be out here screaming our loved one's name. And we to scream our loved ones' names too. Because George Floyd, the only difference between George Floyd and the rest of our families is that they got to the videos with our families. They were able to edit the videos. They were able to destroy the evidence. It spread too fast with George Floyd. It went Facebook Live and they couldn't catch it. If they could have caught that video in time to stop it, they would have stopped it. But see, God wouldn't let them stop it. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. And they silenced me for years. Well, guess what? Guess what? I'm done being quiet. When you pull up in the in broad daylight, I'm done being quiet. Thinking about human life. This ain't no paparazzi scene. I don't want to be out here doing this. I would much rather be at home with my son, but I gotta do what I gotta do. I was scared for years that they would hurt me for coming forward with my story. When I put it like this, they gonna have to do what they gotta do, because I'm gonna do what I gotta do. For all of you guys, we gotta do what we gotta do. So we thank you guys for being out here with us, with your boots on the ground. Keep coming out, even if you're going up against people that don't believe in what you're doing. You might be going up against your families and everything, but you know in your heart that you're fighting for what's right, and that's all that you can do. That's all that you can do. Is fight for what you know in your heart is right. So if George don't get it, 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 shut it down. 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 Thank you. Too many stolen lives. 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 All right, y'all. I want to end it. Are y'all happy to be here today for justice? Scream it out, justice! Justice! Scream it out, justice! Justice! Scream it out, justice! Justice! All right, y'all. We're going to move it along. The next speaker is Jerome Hilson. He's a TCJ member. He's going to be reading our solidarity statement from the National Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression. Y'all give it up for his brother Jerome.
Thank you all for coming. We in the National Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression send greetings of solidarity to the George Floyd family and the freedom fighters and people in Minneapolis who are fighting for justice. For the conviction of the killer cop Derek Chauvin, fighting for justice for all of our people who are forced to exist under the tyranny of police repression. The knee of Derek Chauvin was shot away by George Floyd is symbolic of the need of police repression that is choking the life out of black and brown communities. This must stop. This callous, brutal murder of our people must end without delay. We need justice. We want justice and we want it now. The U.S. House of Representatives just passed the George Floyd bill to become law. It must pass the U.S. Senate, which is subject to being blocked by a strong racist caucus that presently dominates the Senate Republicans. We know that the U.S. Congress will not give us the justice we want in Minneapolis. Only you, the people, can. We want Derek Chauvin and every cop complicit in the murder of George Floyd prosecuted, convicted, and jailed. And we know damn well that this will not happen if we do not put our feet in the streets and demand justice. Demanding that these killer cops be arrested and sent to jail. We salute you, freedom fighters, for your courage and fortitude, for your consistent struggle against racism and political repression, and for creating Minneapolis a great epicenter in the struggle for freedom. We are proud to stand with you in unconditional solidarity. Thank you.
Boots on the ground. We're here to shut this shit down. Boots on the ground. We're here to shut this shit down. Boots on the ground. We're here to shut this shit down. Boots on the ground. We're here to shut this shit down.
Partnership with families supporting families against police violence. Give them a hand.
Hello, my name is Jonathan McClellan with the Minnesota Justice Coalition. We are a part of a collective of organizations that work with the families and community to draft and advance legislation and other policy initiatives at the Capitol here in St. Paul and in Washington, D.C. As Abraham put it in his second inaugural address, the principal task ahead of our country at that time was to bind up the nation's wounds. Here we are over 250 years later, still seeking to bind the deep racial wounds within our country. We are in a state of affairs of our quest to obtain justice and equality, with Minnesota being ground zero of the match that has sparked this outpouring of consciousness for our shared community. We are still here waiting to cash that check that has fallen on a bankrupt system of expedient politicians, administrators, and tolerant allies of the same in opposition to progress for a more perfect union. For far too long, we have been victims of this plague, and we are here to say no more. No more to policies that divide us based on our diversity. No more to policies that break up families of color. No more to hashtags. No more to policies that put all the eggs in the basket of white imperialism while paying lip service to communities of color and our never-ending fight for justice. No more to the boots on our necks of our children, our brothers, our sisters, our uncles, our fathers, our nieces, our nephews, our friends, and our future. The bills we are advancing are ending qualified immunity, police professional liability insurance, the civilian oversight strengthened, ending police-only responses to mental health calls, ending the statute of limitations on wrongful death, creating an independent investigatory and prosecutory body, ending prosecution for reporting police misconduct, access to body cam footage within 48 hours. This is also known as Kobe's Law, ending no-knock warrants. We also support the Hardell-Sherrill Act of 2021 and the Philando-Castile Omnibus Bill. Like the slaveholders of the South in the founding of this young country, the opposition to progress fights for unrighteousness. They argue for division, they promote through their actions or lack thereof a distorted reality that places one class of people over the other and fails to see the humanity and all that is sacred under God. They turn their back to the promise that all men are created equal and have been endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights. the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We are not asking for a handout. We want your boot off our neck. We want a fair shot. We want a level playing field, not a hill we have to climb and fight with one hand tied behind our back, a knee on our neck, and a gun to our head or the head of our children. Law enforcement for decades has been pushing legislation to chip away at our civil liberties, our rights, our communities by pushing policies that absolve them of their crimes, weaken and remove checks of accountability, transparency, and justice with access to unlimited resources and unfettered access to our elected leaders. Our fight is for a lasting change, a commitment to the people, a commitment to policy that has had a lopsided application for far too long. In this time, with the events that have plagued our communities, it's long overdue. A saying I came up with was that we need to infect the system with the consciousness. When you go back home today and tomorrow and the next day and the day after that, remember that it was your conscience that brought you here. It was your conscience that tells you what happened to George Floyd was wrong. It is your conscience that brought you out last summer. It is your conscience that we stand on the right side of history. It is your conscience that helps us support each other. It is your conscience that says that the pain that these families are going through is wrong. It is your conscience that says the boot of oppression is wrong. We all know the system does not have a conscience, and that is why it is our duty to infect it with one. Thank you.
All right, y'all. Is that not powerful, y'all? We got to get them in the streets and at the legislature. You know what I'm saying? We got to fight it both ways. You say? When they say stay back, we say fight back. When they say stand back, we say fight back. When they say stand back, we say fight back. When they say stand back, we say fight back. When they say stand back, we say fight back. When they say stand up, we say fight back. When they say stand back, we say fight back. All right, thank y'all.
Alright, y'all. So our next speaker is going to be Jess, signed in with Freedom Road Socialist Organization. Give them a hand.
Thank you, Destiny. First of all, I want to give a shout out. Today is International Women's Day. Let's hear it for the women and non-binary folks that lead this movement, especially the mothers and spouses and fiancés and loved ones of our stolen lives. So shout out to all of us, okay? Look, we live in a country where a man can be strangled to death in broad daylight under the knee of a murderous cop. Just like we live in a country that has inside its borders whole nations of people held down under the boot of empire. This country doesn't know equality on any front. Economic, political, education, housing, health, nothing is equal here. Am I right? And the powers that be, they want us to believe that's just the way it is. It's like gravity and daylight. Like it just happens. We have to live like this, they say. That we have no choice but to sit by and watch our beloved community members die by our enemy's hands. Why say to hell with that? Are you okay with that? Hell no. We got this far, here today hoping these courts will deliver justice for George Floyd only because we fought for it in the streets of Minneapolis and every major city in this country and in every country on this planet. We said, hell no, the murderous cops have got to go. And we are here today because justice begins with the conviction of Derek Chauvin and then the convictions of his 3 accomplices. But the justice we really seek is so much more than just the convictions of killer cops. We unite with the demand for community control over the police because who else has the right to say who polices our communities and how but you and me? But let's talk about a world where it's community control over society. In Freedom Road, we say once and for all, let's end this white supremacist capitalist system that's choking the life out of us. We say let's fight for self-determination for the African American nation, whose ancestors built this country with stolen labor. We uphold the sovereignty of indigenous nations, including the right to control their land and natural resources. We say let's cut off the stranglehold of empire wherever it tries to reach, in this country and beyond. And while we're at it, let's bring an end to an economy that is organized around profit and greed and exploitation, and build a socialist society that provides for the needs of our people. And we are not the only ones ready for a change. The uprising to demand justice for George Floyd was a sign of things to come. We're not willing to live in the old way anymore, are we? No. Hell no. So join me in saying, we are unstoppable. Another world is possible. 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 We are unstoppable. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible.
With Minneapolis NAACP, give them a round of hands. Hello, beautiful people. Hello, beautiful people. My name is Anika Bowie, and I have the honor to serve as the Vice President of the Minneapolis NAACP. It's a legendary organization rooted to making sure we are securing and protecting our equal rights, political, educational, social, economical. It started in the 1900s, during a time like this, when lynchings were rapid, white supremacy, Aryan culture, hatred was rapid. And a coalition of diverse people came together to advance the well-being of our lives, of all of our lives. Black folks united and utilized our gifts and our talents, like today, to celebrate and to honor and to invite everyone, engage everyone, to make sure that our well-being is prioritized. And before I even go further, I want to just say, I thank you. On behalf of the Minneapolis NAACP, we thank you for all of the families who stood up and was resistant and spoke out against a system of hundreds and hundreds of years of oppression. You are fighting against a system that has attorneys. You are fighting against a system that has a constitution that was not designed or had us in mind. You are fighting against a system that has their PR directors, their strategic communication directors, that has all different types of people who are working around the clock. But you know what? You may be fighting against a system, but we have built a movement. We have built a movement of people's power, of thousands and thousands of years. I just want to be really straight with you, right? In the midst of George Floyd's murder, we all rose up and became our best selves. We all rose up and became our most lovable selves. We all rose up and became our most humane selves. We all rose up and became the protection that we did not get from the Minneapolis Police Department. We recognize our greatness, and that should never be taken away from us. Not only do we recognize our greatness as Minneapolis residents, but we recognize our greatness as global citizens. I had the honor to be a fellow for the United Human Rights for People of African Descent. And what I learned, that people in Brazil are standing up and resisting the same system that we see today. People in Paris are standing up in resistance to the same system of oppression of policing that we see today. People in Africa, people in Ethiopia, people all over across the nation, across the globe, this beautiful earth, this Mother Earth that we must honor. COVID-19 had taught us a very, very loving, humane lesson that we can't take life for granted at all. And that we need to put our practices where our values are. And for unfortunately, the people, us, we have to be the models for MPD. We have to model what we want them to model back to us. We have to be the greater person, and guess what, y'all? We are. We are. We are. So I just want to share that the Minneapolis NAACP is standing in solidarity with you. This is my brother, PJ Hill. He also is the Vice President of the Minneapolis NAACP. We have Angela Rose with us as well, too, who's the president of the Minneapolis NAACP. We have Dr. Raj, as we know and love. Dr. Raj has been holding it down, the chair of the Criminal Justice Reform Committee, and we have a coalition, and most importantly, we have you. We have you, and we just want to say thank you for showing up. Just for a quick little announcement, we have our general monthly meeting today at 6:30. It's streaming live on Facebook, so you can add our page, Minneapolis NAACP, and follow what's going on. We're consistent. We have not missed a meeting ever. Like, we haven't missed a meeting in 3 years. We're consistent and we're persistent. We're going to continue showing up for our community. We're going to continue showing up for this trial, that we understand that justice will prevail within us. Yes, we will show up and we will be very persistent, very challenging the system, right? Being our best selves, right? Showing what love looks like, showing what care looks like, and showing what real public safety looks like, right? We don't pick and choose who we show up for. We don't pick and choose who we show up for. We don't show up for safety for just one type of race. We don't show up for justice just for one type of gender. We don't show up for protection just for one type of nationality or sexuality, right? We gotta be bigger people, and we already are. And that's the announcement right there. I love you, everyone. Stand in solidarity.
Hold up. We want freedom, freedom. Kill these racist ass cops. We don't need them, Hold up. We want freedom, freedom. All these racist ass cops. We don't need them, Hold up. All these racist ass cops, we don't need them. Okay, so. Spoken word artist. One more speaker. I'm gonna need my press. That banner to come forward. Because we want to make people feel and that we're visible, right? So we're going to do it again. Hold up. Freedom. All these racist ass cops, we don't need them. Hold up. We want freedom. All these racist ass cops, we don't need them. Hold up. We want freedom. All these racist ass cops, we don't need them. All right, here we go. Our next person that's going to do us to grace with some words is serious. Marie, y'all know she be getting down with them words. So I'm ready. Are y'all ready? Well, I'm going to get a bigger chance for her. Are y'all ready? All right, say serious.
Hey y'all, I'm Serious Marie.
I love to see all the beautiful faces out here, all my beautiful black people. I love to see y'all. Thank y'all for showing up. Thank y'all for showing out. I'm Serious Marie. I'm not from here. I'm from Joliet, Illinois. Thank you, you know. And where I'm from is I want to let y'all know that this is happening everywhere. Like Tashira was saying, the reason why George is known is because he was forced to be in everybody's face. But it's happening everywhere that you go. Even where I'm from, in Joliet. Where I'm from, there was a man whose name is Derek Chauvin. Say his name. Derek Chauvin. Say his name. Say his name. Say his name. Thank you. Eric was a man who had been incarcerated. He got out of jail. The Joliet Police Department were negligent and were responsible for his death. He was in the back of a squad car and overdosed on drugs. When they pulled up to the police station, Joliet police initially reported in January that he was found unresponsive due to an overdose by the fire department. Not paramedics, the fire department. Dash cam footage got released because one sergeant decided to whistleblow. He said, I see this footage, I can't sit on it, I'm gonna expose them. He did. Footage showed that whenever they got to the police station, officers Doug May and Bill McHugh did not call paramedics, they did not administer Narcan, they did not call EMTs, they choked him. They held his nose for 1 minute and 46 seconds. They slapped him across the face. They said, wake up, bitch, and they put a police baton in his mouth. That ain't right. Somebody say that ain't right. Fuck the police. Fuck 12. Fuck the police. When I say fuck, you say 12. Fuck. 12. Fuck 12. Fuck 12. When I say fuck, you say JPD. Fuck. JPD. Fuck. JPD. Fuck. JPD. Thank you. Say his name one more time. Eric Lurie. Eric Lurie. Say his name. Eric Lurie. Say his name. Eric Lurie. All right, y'all. Thank you. And I say all of that to say all my aggression, everything that I've been feeling because of that. Because of seeing everything, I put all of that and channeled it into a poem. It's a piece that everybody is here together and we're speaking directly to our oppressor. And the title of this piece is Tell Us. Good morning, Mr. Oppressor. I know you think of me as lesser, so I'm here with my friends. Not to make amends, but for you to tell us. Tell us, why don't you understand that Black Lives Matter? Is that so hard to conceptualize? I mean, damn, this whirlwind in media got a hold on it. Amnesia must got the best of you because that look in your eyes, it's so reminiscent of cabinet members who keep their prejudice in disguise. Blank stares to hide the guilt from the blank stares you put in our face to keep us from a place where you can tell us. Tell us, why is it so hard for us to get here, just to have a conversation? It takes all these protests, and you pass facetious laws talking about civil unrest just to mask that footage from your frivolous vest, Mr. Oppressor. What is it that you take us for? Can you tell us? Tell us, why does black bother you? I say Black Lives Matter, you say all, or change it to blue. You take us for fools. You send out your rats, telling us manipulated stats to dispute the fact you break our backs for this country we built, because we did that. So it's no more ignoring, snoring. Wake that ass up, big fella, we said no justice, no peace. And I need y'all to say that last half with me. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. And that's what the fuck we mean. I can't let you forget, Mr. Oppressor. I got my friends with me. Let alone just these rich friends all around the world behind this, so I'm done asking. You gon' tell us. Tell us what the deal is with these predatory ass police. A doctor and a counselor go to school for years at university. These hogs go for 19 weeks. Are you kidding me?
give them a badge and a gun. And then around our streets, they show us it's a crime just to be black. Still slave patrolling, just putting bullets instead of a whip in our backs. We demand a change in tactics, and you pay on streets. Performative gestures to flip the script, nothing more than tic-tac. So yeah, Mr. Oppressor, keep on slinging that leather, cause it's your system, no longer bodies next to lines. I told you, I'm done asking. I said what I said. Perceptions of dark skin have been branded as a threat. Criminalization of our young men a priority. I know just what it is you don't want us to see. In class, you start us off with slavery, make our regal history a mystery because you and I both know Mr. Oppressor. Once we realize our capability, you will be no longer. Continuously, you try your best to compress, and yet we rise stronger, create beauty from the pain, masterpieces from your scraps, our supreme black mother from the grasses of Africa. She holds the key to us all. And once we ascertain that, every fiber of your foundation will fall. It is time now to open your eyes. 2020, no coincidence that year what coincides with perfect vision. Every month we were going through something different, something that exposes more and more that white men were the only ones in mind when initially creating this system. It's not broken, it's functioning just how you meant it. But that don't mean that it doesn't need fixing. Unity and love in numbers is power. We have to use what we got, and I'm gonna say it again because I want to make sure y'all hear it. Unity and love in numbers is power. We have to use what we got. Because in the words of the paramount, Mr. Sada Shakur, ain't no power like the power of people, because the power of people don't stop. Say it with me. Ain't no power like the power of people, because the power of people don't stop. Let him hear you. Ain't no power like the power of people, because the power of people don't stop. One more time. Ain't no power like the power of people, because the power of people don't stop. And that is all I got. Thank you.
Give it up for one more time. And guys, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell.
For the press, one more time, can we just like have you maintain a space? We don't want to be cut off from the people this protest is for. Like this is for the community. Right. Okay. Up next, we're gonna have Toussaint close us out before we start marching, and then I will have some announcements before we actually get started. But go ahead and welcome Toussaint Morrison.
Give it up for all the organizations that put this together today. Give it up for all the marshals that are out here putting their bodies on the line today. Say his name! George Floyd! 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 You're out here for a reason today. You came out here and you showed up. You could be somewhere else. I got it, brother. It's on the ground. You came out here and spent your time. And that's something you'll never get back. You can steal land. You can steal money. Hell, colonizers even stole people. But you can't steal time. And you're out here spending your precious time to stand for justice. If you remember in the 90s, when Rodney King was brutalized and assaulted by cops, you thought a certain thing. You said, that's not right. And for all the brothers and sisters, non-binary and trans out here that saw that,
my bad, Green Bay Packers.
You felt something.
Oh, no. Purple is Constitution, right?
And then when them cops got off, you felt something else. And then when you were sitting in the principal's office or in detention for no damn reason, you felt something else. And then when you saw your white classmates do the same thing as you and get away with it, you felt something else. You were traumatized by that event. And let me tell you something about this building right here. It is undoubtedly going to affect every single black youth in this state. We want justice so all black kids know love, know that they are kings and queens without being told that. We want justice so your white kids grow up knowing better. I want your white community to do better. And I want them to give us justice so your white community understands what it is. Now I understand colonizers came in here and built these buildings and gave all these rules out. Because let me tell you something. This isn't Derek Chauvin on trial. This is the value of a black life. What's on trial is the value of a black man's life. And I don't need the Hennepin County Government Center to let me know if I'm valuable or not. The verdict can go either way. I know that black lives matter, and that's a bare damn minimum. Black lives are loved. Black lives are sung. Black lives are appreciated. If you got some melanin in you, I need you to put your fist up. This is one of the toughest states, the worst states in the country for racial disparity in education, employment, and law enforcement. And the reason this shit doesn't change is because folks don't talk about it. But you out here making a statement because the conversation is over. We out here marching. Everybody else, I want you to put your fists up. I want you to think about your parents. Who are they? If they could see you now, what would they be thinking? I want you to think of your parents' parents. Who were they? Where'd they come from? They have some funny names? Mine did. What would they think of you if they saw you right now? Now get real crazy. Think of your parents' parents. If they could see you right now, what would they say? Would they think that it come to this? Would they have thought that lynching was over by now? Would they have thought that white supremacy was over by now? Would they have thought the lynch mob was over by now? Would they have thought the Klan was done by now? Think of them. They're watching you right now. Repeat after me. You can be off key, but you can't be off rhythm. Ancestors watching, I know they're watching. Ancestors watching, I know. Everybody. Ancestors watching, I know they're watching. Ancestors watching, I know. Louder!